Welcome to Childcare Rockstar Radio. I am your host, Kris Murray. Childcare leaders around the globe are breaking through challenges, leading the way in innovation, testing new best practices, and impacting children and families in a much more powerful and positive way than ever before. Each week, join me for interviews with early childhood leaders and experts that will leave you inspired to become the next childcare rockstar. Now, let's go. This is episode 156 of Childcare Rockstar Radio, featuring Rob Rubicco. Welcome back to the podcast. I am Kris Murray, your host, and I'm thrilled to have you back. In today's episode, you're going to meet a very entrepreneurial childcare owner named Rob, who is from the Norwalk, Connecticut area. And he and his wife, Christina, have started this amazing brand that Rob is going to tell you all about in the episode today. And the cool thing about Rob and Christina is that Rob comes from a little bit more of a corporate or entrepreneurial background, sales background. And so he brings his expertise in business in all different flavors with his wife's expertise in education. And they are forming something really, really special. You're going to hear about scaling, and you're going to hear about, what that looks like early days from a business that's about to open its third location to where they're going to take it in the future. And the sky's the limit, because these two are definitely a power couple that have a huge vision. And so I'm excited to be working with them to see where they're going to take it. So the name of this episode is How to Scale Your ECE Business with Clarity and Vision, because that is what Rob and Christina are doing. So I know that you're going to get a ton out of it. We share competitive strengths and what sets them apart in their marketplace and leadership style, and being passionate about food in the program and bringing some nuances with your menu and so much more in this episode here at the podcast. I am in the thick of enjoying my last summer with my daughter. She's here at home. And Maeve will be going, as I've mentioned before, to Savannah College of Art and Design in the fall. She starts a little later than most kids over at Savannah. They don't start until about September 8th with classes. And so we're going to be driving her across country in her Jeep. She's dead set on taking the car to campus, but they are very car friendly there. And she's already got her roommates. They've all planned what they're doing for their dorm decor, and very, very different than when I went to college, right? Remember back in the mid 80s, if you're similar age to me, pre-internet, you just show up and keep your fingers crossed and pray that you get a good roommate and that you get along. And that was it, right? Off to the races. So they are excited to have, they have a quad. So 2 sets of 2 in a quad dorm, and very, very excited. So we just went dorm shopping last week, and that was really fun, and I was just reflecting on my motherhood journey, thinking about all the things that I've done to raise these 2 kids and get them to be successful adults. And I'm about to launch the second one and watch them fly into the world and leave the nest. So it's very, very exciting over here. And so I've just been enjoying that. I've been trying to dive in and just enjoy and be present to all the moments of the summer, since it's our last summer before college. So with that, doing a lot of traveling, doing a lot of fun things, and blending it with work and professional duties. So I'm going to leave you to this episode, and listen in to episode 156. You'll get a lot out of it. I'm sure you're going to get several writer-downers. So let's go and let's meet Rob Rubicco. Enjoy it. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I am very excited to introduce you to my friend Rob Rubicco today. Rob, how are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing fantastic. Where are you right now?
I'm at our Pelham location in Pelham, New York, right outside of Manhattan.
Very good. And how many locations do you have? Tell us about your brand and a little bit more about your business and what it looks like.
Yeah, sure. So we, so my wife actually started this exactly 10 years ago in our basement. And she was a kindergarten teacher in the Bronx for many years. And when we knew that we were pregnant with our daughter, Anna, we moved out of the city to the suburbs, and she was, looking around for a daycare, and she could not find any that she felt comfortable enough leaving our daughter Anna at. And we had this really nice sized basement. And to be honest, I was really excited for a man cave. That's like what I really wanted to have. But I lost that argument. We decided to build a daycare. We called it Anna's Treehouse. It got
Okay.
started with 4 teachers and 12 kids in the basement. And I think people really appreciated the education aspect of what she brought to the table. It wasn't just babysitting, it was set up in a very, very specific way. We had a waiting list, almost immediately. And then we
Right.
found out we were pregnant with our son, Jack, about a year later. I'm sorry, a couple months later. So we opened up another treehouse. We called it Jack's Treehouse, and added another 12 kids, another 4 teachers. And it worked for about a year. And then
Okay.
almost all of our parents came to us around the same time and said, hey, listen, we're pregnant. So this was 2014, and we were trying to figure out what to do. We can either A, buy another home, but then be restricted to 12 kids, or we can go the commercial route. And
Right.
we were driving around one morning, and we're going to Dunkin' Donuts actually, and we passed a building that was for rent. We said, oh, that might be interesting. And it turns out it was. So we pulled the trigger very, very quickly. We merged the daycares together. We called it Anna and Jack's Treehouse. I got my man cave back, which I was really excited for. And that's kind of how it got started. And
All
what's really
right.
cool is of the original 8 or 10 teachers, a majority of them are still here. So one of our locations is up in Norwalk, Connecticut. Mrs. Andrea, who started in our basement, is the director there. She's also a part owner. Mrs. Rosie, who also started in our basement, she's the director of our Pelham location. We're about to open up another location in Larchmont, where, again, following the same thing where we always
Right.
promote from within. And it's been really great because, my wife, Christina, she's the visionary. We're into EOS now. So she's the visionary. She was the integrator for a long time. And it's been great having people that trained right underneath her and worked right underneath her become the directors, because they know her brain, they know the Treehouse way. And it's been great.
Love that. So I'm curious, when you opened Jack's Treehouse, did you guys purchase another freestanding home, or did you lease a space? And then so how did that come about? Like, what was the
Yeah,
acquisition?
so we leased the home. We were going to purchase it. We didn't know
Okay.
how the investment was going to work, so we leased
Yeah.
it. 2020 hindsight, we should have purchased it. Definitely should have done that. Kicking myself every day.
Right.
And what was interesting there was, it only lasted about a little less than a year because we had to grow. And what was really cool was every time we've grown and expanded, other than the Norwalk location, it's been because of demand. So, for example, for the Pelham location, which I'm at now, which we opened up in August of 21, our waiting list for the New Rochelle location was a couple hundred people deep, and we needed a place to house all these people.
Yep.
So we were able to open up the Pelham location at full capacity because we just moved everyone from our wait list over.
Mm-hmm.
For the Larchmont location, which is opening up in January, we're doing the same thing. So New Rochelle, Larchmont, and Pelham are within literally 4 miles of each other. So everyone we can share teachers, we can share the waiting list, and that's actually going to be our flagship location. It's 24,000 square feet, well over 180 kids. We could probably get closer to 220, but we're actually going for more functionality, indoor
Right.
playgrounds. We're really gonna build it the way that we really want to.
Yeah.
And we're going to be able, I think there's already 140 kids registered with deposits. And again, that's
Wow.
all from our waiting list. So it's exciting.
That's a great strategy. That's one that I hope everybody's paying attention to. And when did your New Rochelle location open? I think it opened right before COVID, if I remembering the story right.
So the New Rochelle location opened up in 2015, but you're actually talking about the Norwalk location, which
Oh, okay. Got it.
See all these gray hairs? That's all
Yeah.
from Norwalk. So what was really interesting there is before I actually decided to leave work and join the Treehouse with my wife, I was a management consultant, and I helped companies like Disney, Coca-Cola, 7-Eleven, basically find ways to enhance their overall customer experience, typically through digital technology, whether it was a wearable or an app. And I was traveling every single week, usually Monday to Thursday, mostly international. And one day I got a call from my neighbor. And I don't usually get calls from him. His name is Tony. And I thought something was wrong. And he calls me and he goes, Rob, listen, I need your help. I said, okay, what's going on? He goes, listen, I own this big building up in Norwalk, Connecticut. There's a daycare. It's going out of business. Do me a favor and take it over.
Wow.
This was in August of 2019. And so I got back from my trip. I went to go look at the daycare. 12,000 square feet, licensed capacity for 126, only 30 kids there, all these teachers. And I'm like, Tony, this is amazing, but I have my own career. I don't think we can do this. And he talked me into it. And basically, so I looked at my wife, we had a conversation, we drove back up the next day. And I said, listen, we've always been looking for a reason for me to leave work and join the Treehouse.
Yeah.
But financially, we couldn't make it work. I did pretty well. We had insurance, we had benefits, all that great stuff. So we said, you know what? I think this is the opportunity. So I left work. We signed the lease. A month later, I was the director of the Norwalk Treehouse, and I know nothing about being a director. Only what I learned from Christina, but I knew enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
We closed for a week to redo the floors and put wood floors and all this great stuff, and we kind of just got started. And again, this is October of 2019.
Right.
What happened a couple months after that, right? So come March, we have maybe 60% capacity because the other daycare had a really bad reputation. And even though we rebranded, it still took a lot of time. Then COVID happened. And if we all remember, very early on in COVID, the three hotspots of the world were China, Italy, and New York. More specifically, New Rochelle, New York. So even though we only closed for about a week and a half or 2 weeks, we had to, we had to do all the precautions that eventually everyone else had to do, which were the masks and temperature checks, but we did it first.
Yeah.
Now, not knowing anything, I just followed Christina's lead. And when I tell you the amount of pushback we got from parents saying, COVID's not real, we don't need masks.
Wow.
About 3 weeks after that, obviously the whole world went crazy.
Yeah.
And it was because of that early move that not only we were able to stay open when all the other schools closed, but we were actually able to win a contract with the state of Connecticut. And through a LinkedIn connection, I was able to connect with the right person. And we were able to keep our capacity and take care of the children of first responders. So here we are in March, everything else is closed, we're open, and we just have a flood of people trying to get in. But what was really interesting was all the teachers that actually wanted to work and still educate, they were looking for jobs where everyone else kind of wasn't. So we were able to bring on some amazing teachers that they were perfectly happy in their other schools, but because they had closed, we were able to pick them up. So that was amazing. So we currently have 142 kids up in Norwalk. We just expanded and opened up 4 new classrooms, all full capacity.
Nice.
And God bless. I mean, I thank my lucky stars, and we're humbled by the success we've had in such a short period of time.
Yeah. Well, one thing that you're bringing to the party that a lot of other folks that have been on this podcast or members of the Academy don't have is you have that corporate experience around customer experience that you're bringing to the table, you personally, plus this amazing partnership with your wife. And obviously she's got it going on and she's super smart in her own right. So I love, what your brand represents and the story. Your brand story is amazing. And then your unique brilliance is to bring strategies that you've used with, big companies like Disney and such to your preschools. And it's obviously working out really, really well for you because your enrollment, your expansion, your culture, your leadership, your staff, it's all going great. So do you miss, that was a huge jump in your lifestyle from traveling all the time and working in corporate at high levels. Do you miss any of that? Or are you just happy as a clam now?
Well, it's interesting. And I think about this a lot. So when I first, kind of joined the Treehouse, I came from the boardroom to the classroom really. And I had to adjust my way of thinking from every perspective you could possibly imagine, from talking to, clients to talking to colleagues. And it's mostly a majority of women business. And, I'm a male.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a challenge, but with my wife and the support of the teachers and the other staff, they kind of helped me get up to speed really quickly. And that's when Mrs. Andre joined as the director. And then she eventually, took over and is now an owner. And I was able to take a step back. But you know what? I don't miss the travel because the twins were born in 2017. And I don't remember the first couple of years of their life. I remember like little peaks of it, but now like my twins just turned 6 today. Today was their birthday.
Oh.
And my wife and I, they just turned 6. So Anna's 11, Jack is 10, and the twins are 6. So Christina and I both went to their school today and we read a story in their class and we, gave out ice pops and we were hanging out with the kids. So I would not trade that for anything in the world.
Yeah. Being
able to actually be with the kids, either my wife or I, we picked them up every day from school. We drop them off at school. There's nothing better than that at all. And, what's interesting is you talked about, unique brilliance and everything. Like none of this is possible without my wife. I mean, her hard work, dedication, and all those years that we lost a lot of money. My paycheck went to cover payroll for many, many years.
Yeah.
And she found talent in people, and those are the people that are part of leadership now. But we would not be where we are without Christina, but also more importantly, without the teachers. I mean, there's just they're the lifeblood of the company. They're amazing.
Well, it sounds like you're well on your way to impacting 1,000 children every day. So congratulations. And I love that you're using EOS. I want to ask you about EOS here. But I also want to mention, we have done several episodes on this podcast about males in childcare and guys getting more into the industry and being more of a presence. And I love that you recognized that it's mostly a female-led, female-oriented industry. But we need more guys. We need to have more male voices, male presence, great creativity that the guys bring, and less stigma, in my opinion, from parents around having males in childcare. So I love that you're in this leadership role and you're kind of, standing for that. Maybe not intentionally, but power out to you, and shout out to the guys that are in the audience of this podcast right now. So love that. There's a classic question that I always ask, so I'm going to ask it because we already kind of know what your home looks like and what you got going on. But in terms of the fun fact, what is something that not that many people know about you that you'd like to share with us today?
In general, or just in the academy?
In your life, something personal that's a fun fact about you.
Well, the people closest to me know that I'm actually a trained chef, and
Nice.
So in 2011, I was working for a company. It was about to get sold, so I had a little bit of equity. And my wife was a teacher, so we had benefits and all that kind of stuff. And I said, Kris, I've always wanted to become a chef. It's like, I loved cooking as a kid with my mom and my grandma, all that amazing stuff. And I said, I'd like to become a chef. She was, okay, well, go ahead. We're not, we're married. We don't have kids yet. So if you want to go ahead and pursue this, go ahead. So I left work. I went to the French Culinary Institute of Manhattan, and
wow.
I went, and this is, a 27-year-old guy, and most of the people are 17, 18 out of college, out of high school. And I'm there, and, I've got the whole suit on, and I'm working, and there's an intern. They don't call it an internship. They called it a stage. And basically you get a job at a restaurant and you're basically doing all the grunt work. And there's maybe 4 months in, and I get a stage with Mario Batali. And, we're there and I'm cooking. And he basically says to me in Italian, he goes, how old are you? And I told him how old I was. And he goes, you're too effing old. I go, what? He goes, you're never going to be good at this because you should have started when you were younger.
Wow.
He goes, however, you speak well, you have a good presence about you. Would you like to do a screen test for the Food Network? And I did, and I was actually a judge on Next Chopped.
Really?
Cool. Yeah,
oh my
it was pretty cool.
God.
And then from there, I started working at a Jean-Georges restaurant.
Okay.
And then one of my buddies who used to play for the New York Giants opened a restaurant. I went to work with him, and most people don't know that in Manhattan, usually the restaurants close around midnight or 1 a.m. And typically, if you've worked in the restaurant industry, you usually go out for shift drinks, with your workers afterward, with your buddies afterward. And, sometimes you get a little bit tipsy. And there was one night where Christina said, hey, Rob, I'm going to pick you up from work. I go, but I don't get out of work until 1, usually 3 a.m. She goes, no, I'm going to pick you up. I'm like, okay, no problem. So she picks me up, a little drunk. And she goes, I got you a present. I go, what do you mean you got me a present? So she gives me this little bag. And I open up the bag, and there's a little baby shirt that says, I love my daddy.
Aww.
And it took me a second to figure it out. I'm like, oh my God, you're pregnant. And, hugging and kissing. But the message was, if you want to be a good dad, you can't work until 3 a.m. anymore.
Right.
So I went back to corporate America and all that good stuff. But that was it was such an amazing experience because I got to learn all the hard skills like knife skills and prepping and cooking. And I still love to cook. It's one of the most amazing things I get to do with my kids is, we cook dinner almost every night as much as we can. My daughter wants to be a baker. My kids can chop. Like, it's really amazing. And we love hosting Thanksgiving. That's our favorite holiday. We actually like to host all the holidays, but other family members we have to give it to.
Yeah.
But it's amazing.
That's super cool. Love that. Thanks for sharing that. Is the menu at the preschools part of the experience, or do you kind of stay away from the whole food stuff going at the preschools?
So all the daycares do have a menu. What I would like to serve is very different than what we can serve.
Right.
But it's pretty nutritious. We have a nutritionist that signs off on it, and it rotates. what is really amazing, and I think this is one of the unique selling points, is that I'll specifically talk about the Pelham location. So the director of the Pelham location, Rosie, again, who started in our basement, her mother has worked with us in one way or another pretty much forever. And she's an old school, off the boat Italian grandmother. And she's our chef here in the Pelham location. So parents will walk in the morning and be like, what's that smell? And she's literally making fresh tomato sauce with her hands in the thing.
Wow.
And it is absolutely amazing. And, like if the kid doesn't want to eat something, she'll go in and make something else for them. She's cooking for 88 kids. And, really amazing.
I think that should be part of your brand story, if it's not already, is getting some video of her, because who doesn't love an old school Italian woman who's cooking spaghetti sauce with the garlic with her hand, that whole thing. Like that would make me enroll my child there. So I'm just going to give you that tip for your marketing, is we need to feature that more. Good job. Love that.
And what was really funny is when we were building the kitchen, we go, Gina, we're building you a kitchen. And I sort of showed her the plans, and I'm like, we're going to give you 2 stove here, 2 ovens. She goes, what do I need this for? I need a little pot. It was just amazing, the whole thing. But it's amazing. That's
video gold. Let me tell you, you got to get that on an Instagram reel. I love that.
This episode of Childcare Rockstar Radio is sponsored in part by Child Pilot. Are you tired of juggling paperwork, collecting tuition, and keeping up with parents when managing your childcare program? Summertime is the perfect time to find the most suitable solution for you. Check out our friends at Child Pilot to learn more about their all-in-one childcare management platform with first-class customer support. With over 20 years of experience in the software industry and a team of professionals with early childhood education backgrounds, Child Pilot guarantees to help you manage your center efficiently and strengthen parent connections. Set up a quick 5-minute discovery call with them at 940-287-3704 or visit them online at childpilot.com. Mention me, Kris Murray, or Rockstar Radio and get 2 months free. That's childpilot.com.
So let's talk. Well, so that's leads perfectly into the next question, which is your unique benefits and unique selling points, your value proposition for Jack's Treehouse that sets you apart. What are some of the things that you intentionally put into your messaging to attract families?
Well, we don't do a lot of marketing. It's very much word of mouth. I mean, we're using Grow Your Center now. We never did before, but that's really more to kind of keep front of mind. But, a lot of what people, say is that, it comes down to the teachers. I mean, the love that they get. I mean, we have something called, this is cool. So we have a shout out competition. So every week, whatever teacher gets the most shout outs from parents or colleagues or myself and Christina, they get Treehouse cash, and they can get $100 cash, but they also get a star. And by September, whichever teacher at each of the locations has the most stars is going to come to Orlando with us. And the parents know about this too. So the shout outs from the parents are being amazing. But, even before that, always tons of compliments on the teachers, the love that they give. And, we typically try to pair up younger teachers that are kind of on the road early for early childhood. They're trying to figure out what they want to do. They know they want to be a teacher with someone a little bit more experience. So they kind of has that really good balance. I think that's definitely a unique selling point is the people. The facilities themselves are just absolutely beautiful. Beautiful, the floors are nice, the color scheme, and, it looks like you're in someone's home, even though you're in a center, which is really important for us. I think people really appreciate the cameras. All the parents have live access. They can kind of check in whenever they want, see what's happening. Yep. Our ratios, we overstaff the rooms. We don't need to. My accountant always yells at me because the payroll's so high. But again, without having those extra teachers and having those floaters coming around, that's not going to provide a better level of care. And we're pretty expensive. We're not the most expensive in town, but we're definitely up there with Bright Horizons.
Right.
And I think it's funny when people are moving up from the city. Bright Horizons is the main daycare in New York, New York City, and what they're saying is that we're very much like them, just without some of the corporate, which
right?
Is nice, which is nice to hear. But the level of care and the love is there. So I think it's definitely a combination. But if the teachers didn't go above and beyond every day, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, well, and that came out true when you talked about in the early days having 4 teachers for 12 children that in the basement, right? And I was like, well, that's a lot of teachers, and that's great. That's a 1-to-3 ratio that you're not going to really find anywhere else. So I think what you're telling me is you have a high, very high quality, high nuanced experience. It's more of a something you would get in a corporate school with a family feel. It's family run. It doesn't feel like corporate. It feels very homey. It's, that loving, tight knit family, like that community feel that you might not get with corporate. So
yeah, and what's interesting there is that I think the reason that happened was, again, this started in our basement. So my backyard was the backyard of the kids, and when we did these early events, which was like we used to do trunk or treat. We did the Halloween party, Easter party. We would do a multicultural night. We had such a diverse group of folks that, we'd invite everyone over. They would bring food from their country and we'd all have a feast. This happened in my home. So we're always used to that. So I think that transferred over, because even when we opened up the Norwalk location and the New Rochelle Center, even though it wasn't our home anymore, when we did our parties, we did them at our house. And then eventually my homeowners association said, Rob, we love you, but there cannot be 150 cars on the street anymore. So you can't really do parties in the house anymore. So we had to stop it. But that's fun.
Yeah, that's fun. I love to do that as well. That develops a great culture for your team and for your clients. So you mentioned Grow Your Center. You have a Grow Your Center developed website, I'm assuming, with a world-class website. And are you using us for anything else in terms of social media or recruitment or anything? Or just the website?
Bruce and Todd are just absolutely amazing. I talk to Todd very often. And, essentially when we first got started, it was very much for the website. And like I said, we don't do any marketing whatsoever. Everything's been word of mouth, but, just kind of hearing about it and then boss mode and how it integrates with IKS and all the data. I'm a very big data guy. So like when I was talking to Bruce at the last meeting, I'm like, oh, wow, you can actually do that. So it was just a natural yes for me.
Okay.
But so you guys are managing everything for us. I believe the first newsletter that we're going to do, which we're excited for, is coming out soon. Cool. I tried to do the newsletter myself on Jotform. I just screwed it up. So I'm like, all right, I'll outsource it. It's easier.
Yeah. So I want to just shift the phrase of we don't do any marketing, because when you have a world-class website and when you have a CRM that's working for you via IKS or CRM, and you are automatically following up with parents through drip campaigns and all the things that your CRM is, you actually are marketing. But I get it that you're feeling like, well, I don't really spend a lot of money going out doing traditional brand advertising, but you're doing a different kind of more direct response style marketing to parents that are searching. So you're doing all the right things for sure. And obviously you're full. So you're doing a great job. Yeah. So I had to get that in, Rob, because I am a marketing junkie. So when people say they're not really doing any marketing, I'm like, but wait a second, you kind of are.
You kind of are,
So let's talk about leadership. So you come in across as a really warm, rapport builder right now in the podcast. And I know you personally, so I know that is true of you. And I'm sure that flows into your leadership style. So what are some things that you've worked on in your leadership, or just tell us more about your leadership journey?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it's been like this, to be honest. And I think most daycare orders can, feel this, is that we've been in survival mode for the past, 3.5 years with COVID and everything. So, I haven't been as warm as maybe I could be with my staff or parents, because, I've been worried about payroll, worried about everything.
Yeah, sure.
So things are calming down now. And, I know we've spoken about it in my meditation, and, I know Hal Elrod and all that stuff. And, over the past year or so, as things have been calming down, I'm like, wait a minute, who is this guy? Like, where did this guy come from? And so I've been doing a lot of work to kind of meditate, come back to earth, and just really kind of get back to what my traditional values are. And the difference has been amazing. My teachers are realizing it. My directors are realizing it. Like, oh, Rob meditated today. That's the inside joke. But, I think the rapport part is absolutely correct. I mean, whether it's a parent or a teacher, I just want to get to know them and understand, kind of what their aspirations are, what they're into, and not for any other reason, just to be a human and just, get to know them. And, now that we've been working with EOS, it's only been our, third week or so. It's been amazing, because like most high functioning entrepreneurs, everything is up here in the head. And now that we're actually getting it on paper, it's, oh, wait, I'm actually saying exactly what I am asking to be, and we're holding people accountable, and we're communicating what the expectations are. Mm-hmm. And when we went through our Trainule journey, which I know we've spoken about in the past, that was also important, because, we weren't setting the expectations for our teachers on what was expected. And it really helped out a way. And it actually made me become a better leader, because I learned we weren't communicating as clearly as we could have. And that actually turned out to be pretty crazy because, most of the people that we've hired are now in director roles. So the assistant directors and the people under them have never worked with Christina directly or worked with myself directly. So they're learning from the assistant directors who are learning from the directors who learn from us.
Right.
So it was just interesting to see how all that worked. And now that we have these things in place, it's been amazing so far.
Yeah.
How that's changed.
I love that. So you were in San Antonio at our recent Academy Mastermind meeting at the end of April, and you did a session on Trainule and some other automation and systems that you're using in your business, which was amazing. And I'm going to get to that. But I think it was there that you got exposed to other members who are super dialed into EOS, potentially saw some sessions on it. And you were kind of like, oh my God, what is this EOS thing? And then you're just like, you're basically diving into as many best practices as I can give you as quickly as you can, which is the best sign of a super successful entrepreneur is somebody who is a fast implementer from what we teach. And then you just grab it and you go. So now you're into your EOS journey. And so talk a little bit about how did you find it in San Antonio, or how did you find out about it? And what have you been up to? Did you get an implementer? Did you get your kickoff meeting? Just talk more about your journey with it so far.
Yeah, sure. So, and even in the last meeting, we were like, wait, what is an L10? Like, what is an A? What is a B? Like, what are these topics people are talking about? But I had read Good to Great before, so I kind of knew a little bit. Okay. And we're in a meeting, and I think Steve was leading the meeting, the breakout.
Yeah.
And we became friends with Clark from North Star. Really great guy. Yeah. Amazing story. He came through Credit Suisse. I mean, just an amazing story. And I'm like, oh, what's this EOS thing? And he goes, let me tell you. And he takes out his leadership book, and he's like really excited about it. I'm like, oh my God, like this is something here. You can feel the excitement. And he's telling us about it. And then I reached out to Steve. I'm like, Steve, this EOS thing. He goes, yes, back in 2019, we told people about it, and a lot of people use it. I'm like, I gotta get on this. Right. So within a couple of days, I spoke to a couple of different implementers. We found one that we meshed with. He did the 90-minute, and we basically said yes right away. A couple of weeks later, we had our first kickoff meeting where in this room we had 9 of our folks around. Started with the accountability chart. Then we did our first actual main session in our dining room with our leadership team, which was really cool because daycare started downstairs, we were upstairs, and we completed our first L10 meeting this past Tuesday. Excited for the next one. We're still learning. I'm sure we're going to make mistakes. The thing that, and Chantel actually has been really helpful. She mentioned her and Zach went through the same thing on the call yesterday, which was, my wife is the visionary, and by me being this integrator, she feels like she's being pushed out. And I'm like, no, that's not the intent. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it where you can do more of what you want to. And what's interesting is Christina wants to be hands-on. She wants to be in every school. She doesn't want to be anywhere else. So we're still trying to work out how this is going to shape up. And it's probably going to be a hybrid role of visionary / integrator. Same thing for me too. I have the big picture of where we want the treehouse to go, but then she has the vision of what she wants the treehouse to look like. So it's going to be a hybrid role.
Yes.
But we would have started this years ago. I don't know where we'd be. We've probably been, have 20 centers by now.
Right.
Like that.
Well, just the structure of it. What I found, and it was, if people ask me like, how did you get from 7 figures to 8 figures, is the structure of what EOS brings allows you to scale much more quickly and more pain-free, and just with more clarity, And so that is great. And I'm really glad that you're on the journey. And it's funny because there's so many things that we teach in the academy that sometimes I think we forget to go back to the building blocks and help newer members such as yourself come up to speed with some of these things. But I'm really a shout out to Clark for getting you dialed up for that, and for Steve and Chantel too, and everybody. That's what we do in the academy is everybody pitches in, and if you have any questions about anything, just hit us up. We'll share and we'll take the time to get you what you need. So I love that. Let's talk about impact. So how you've been on this incredible ride, you and Christina, and where you're headed is this big vision. Who do you, when you look back, what are the 1 or 2 people that you feel have had the most impact on your journey in terms of inspiration, or your rocks per se, the people that have really helped you get to where you are?
Wow. That's a deep one. Well, what was interesting was, and I don't know if this was a motivator for Christina, and I think I'm probably gonna get smacked after this, but when she first told her parents, who, her dad, they're immigrant Italian, her mom was born here, I'm going to leave my teaching job and open up a daycare. Are you crazy? You have a safe, secure job. Basically, everything that Robert Kiyosaki talks about.
Right.
Safe, secure job.
Oh yeah.
And all that great stuff. And it was a little scary because they were naysayers in the beginning. Now they're just super happy. And so my father-in-law, John, who's basically my dad, his name is Peepaw, and everyone calls him Peepaw in the daycare. He's like the handyman. So if something goes wrong, he comes with his little toolbox and he fixes it. And it's
so
amazing.
Cute.
I think my mother-in-law is going to be retiring this year. And so she's going to kind of come on more as the finance function, which I'm excited for. It'd be great to have her. So slap my hand if I spend something I shouldn't. But I think they were really impactful in the beginning because, they told us how important it was to raise a family and be safe and secure. So we probably didn't take as many risks as we probably didn't take as many risks because we had that in the back of our head, which was great because we might have overextended. We had some early people that supported us financially. It was like a $25,000 loan that was really helpful. But I mean, from people I didn't know that impacted me the most was definitely Michael Gerber from the Entrepreneurial Myth.
Mm-hmm.
Which was interesting because, when Christina and I were talking about this, she's the tactician, she's the teacher, but she's not an accountant, she's not a lawyer, she's not HR, she's not marketing, she's not sales. So early on, we were able to say, hey, these are our lanes. Now, even though I had my own career and she did everything on her own, there were some things I had to help out with on the back end. So like, HR and legal and finance and stuff. But that was really helpful to kind of see that other people were, going through the same thing as we did. But I would say probably my in-laws.
Yeah, cool. Love that. And yeah, the book Emeth by Michael Gerber is fantastic. There's a lot of flavors of that kind of book. I mean, Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, similar in terms of, going from being a employee to a business owner or solopreneur is like you're shifting from a job to basically you just bought yourself another job. And so looking at it from how do I really get to be an actual business owner and get out of doing all the jobs, wearing all the hats. And that's probably one of the classic things that we teach in the academy is helping people release many hats and just focus on the one or two hats that are their lane, like you just said. So hopefully you guys are having baby steps of success. It sounds like you are in that clarity, because also for a husband-wife team, you can sometimes stress your relationship as husband-wife when you don't have clear lanes as well developed, and you can kind of get on each other's nerves, and it can cause conflict in your personal relationship. So hopefully you're doing well with that as well.
Yeah, it's not easy. We're together.
It's not easy.
We're not together all day, but we're talking all day. And then, get home at night, something comes up, and we have to chat about it. But we do date night every Tuesday and Thursday. That's our date night.
Oh, good.
Just not tune everything else out. And I don't think I'd have it any other way, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, being home for your 6-year-old twins' birthday, happy birthday to them, by the way. 6 is my favorite. I love all the ages, but people ask me, what's your favorite age? I have this very strong memory of my daughter who, when she turned 6, she was missing both her front teeth. She had this amazing girls' slumber party. I still have the picture of all of them hanging out on the couch. And 6 is great because they finally have some independence where they can dress themselves and they can, start kind of making baby decisions. And you're getting a little bit of independence from having to oversee them all the time. And of course, I love when they're missing their front teeth. I mean, there's nothing cuter to me. So
my son just lost his first, Paulie just lost his first tooth, and so excited about it. And last week, so my son Jack turned 10 last week. And we have a thing in our family where when you turn 10, you get to choose where you want to go on for your birthday. So Anna chose Disney last year. Jack chose a Royal Caribbean cruise ship. It was the Wonder of the Seas. So we went on it last week, and he's 10 now, and he meets some friends on the cruise ship, and he's like, oh, I want to hang out and this and that. So he's coming home at midnight, and Angie and Paul were like, oh, we want to hang out too. I'm like, well, you guys can't quite do that yet, but they are fierce. Angie is the boss of the family. Paulie's the cute one. He knows it. He does the puppy eyes when he can't get what he wants. But we're sad because he's not going to be like sweet and innocent forever. And it's just amazing. It's a great age.
Yeah. Well, hold on to these times because my daughter just turned 18 and graduated. So I'll be empty nest before you know it, but it's good. It's all sweet and bittersweet. Thank you so much. So my last question for you, I wanted just to ask you about like, how did you find me and us in the Academy? And, now that you're a member, what are some of the things, what has your experience been like? And what message do you have for other people that might be sitting in challenges and in pain in their business who aren't in the Academy? Not that I want to like give a sales pitch for it, but I want people to know, what you're getting out of it and how did you even find me in the first place? I'm curious.
Yeah, sure. So when I first did this in 2019, being the person I am, not knowing anything about childcare, I read every book possible on this, and one of the ones I found, and I actually found Childcare Millionaire.
Right.
And so that's how I originally kind of got into it. And Brian was just leaving the organization, and he wasn't able to take on any clients, so he connected me to Ben, and had a conversation with Ben. It seemed interesting, but it just wasn't the right time. It wasn't the right time yet.
Yeah.
So then kind of did our own thing, and then I touched base with Ben here and there, and then eventually it just got to the point where I knew I was missing something more on the finance end, actually, because I'm like, wait, all this money's coming in, my expenses are here, like we have to be missing something here.
Right.
So wound up joining up with Ben, and I got to be honest. Early on, we thought we weren't going to stick with you guys, and the reason for that was, the recurring theme was, you can retire or work on a beach, work somewhere from a beach in Mexico, and that wasn't what my wife was looking for. She wanted to be hands on, and I remember the early conversations with Ben. She's like, Ben, I want to be on the daycare. I don't want to do anything else. But it wasn't until the first event where we came to it was like, this is amazing. Like, this is really valuable because we're sitting there in Nashville, and it's 1,500 people, whatever it is, in the room, all talking about the same thing as we are, facing the same challenges. That was transformational, and I think very soon after that, we put our hat in the ring for Empire, and we weren't ready yet because we didn't have the revenue, but we do now. And that event, we brought a couple of our people. San Antonio, we brought almost the entire leadership team. 2 folks were on maternity leave, so they weren't able to, but they'll be coming. But I think we have 23 or 24 people coming to Orlando, and
wow,
the buzz, the buzz coming off of an event is amazing because everyone's just super excited, feeling great. But that was what was transformational for us, the Nashville event.
That's fantastic. So we love having you guys in Empire. You're adding a ton of value as well as getting a ton of value. And it's a very symbiotic relationship for most of our Empire clients like that. And great to know that you got the re-inspiration from the summit. So hopefully people that are listening to this that don't have their summit tickets yet for Orlando will get them. And I love that you're bringing a teacher as you're doing a contest and having parents vote and then bringing a teacher as a Benny, as a perk to Orlando to attend. That's just like a super brilliant strategy. And plus 22 other staff, it sounds like. So that's amazing. Very, very cool. One thing that I've learned about you, that you are very well connected and you have some really cool friends, and somebody that we know kind of like 3 degrees of separation is that we both are connected to Damon John, who is going to be our keynote speaker from Shark Tank, the People Shark. And so you are working and connecting me with Trainule's CEO, and and Damon's an investor in Trainule, which we discovered yesterday. And then, of course, your best friend also is an amazing entrepreneur who founded Bombas Socks. So I love having you in the group and being, working with you as a client, because you're also opening doors for me and us. And so again, back to a very symbiotic relationship. So just, I guess, finish out talking a little bit about your experience with Trainule. For people that aren't using it yet, we can give them a little plug and share a little bit about how it's helped your organization in terms of training your team.
Yeah, sure. So, going back to being in corporate America, everything is very regimented. You have training manuals, you have online trainings, and when I started, we were just drinking from the fire hose. So we never really had any of that. And most of the trainings were done by Christina, in the classroom. So, I've been trying to do Trainule for well over 1.5 years. And I tried it once, and then I'm like, I can't do it, way too much. Like, I need to sit down with my wife, get everything out of her brain. And it just wasn't possible. Even though we had an employee handbook, it was just very tough to structure it in a way that was going to work from an online platform perspective. So I just kind of threw my hands up, and then I just said, I'm going to give it a try again. And I do something called the Finisher's Journal. Have you heard of that?
No.
So basically it's an idea where, and it actually works really well with EOS, where you have 90-day goals, and you break it down by week and day, and it's pretty interesting. And one of the things that I really needed to get strong on, because we actually got a lot of violations around this, was teacher training, how to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And basically said, okay, well, I'm going to do this. So I finally sat down, and then I got in touch with a consultant on the Trainule website. Her name is Erin Matthews. She's terrific. And I told her what we were trying to do. And she had just helped the daycare client do exactly what we were trying to do, which was great. So we got started. I had to pull my wife's teeth to get her to sit down and actually pay attention and answer questions. And we did a deep dive of like 3.5 hours. And they knew all the right questions to ask. They took all of our they took all of our paperwork, and they said, okay, give us 2 weeks or whatever. 2 weeks later, they came back to us with a very rough draft format of what training was going to look like, with all of our colors and logos. And we're like,
cool,
this is amazing. And then we started to tweak it from there. And it took about 2.5 months to get done. And then once that rolled out, we rolled it out to all of our teachers. It was a little difficult because some of the teachers have been like, hey, I've been here for 9 years. Why do I need to do training? But we explained why. All new hires go through it. And it took a while, but now everyone's completely bought into it. We're actually going to be we're pretty sure we're going to do this, but we're trying to figure out the cost, where we want our parents to go through Trainule. Quick Trainule. This is what to expect for the Treehouse. This is how you use Brightwheel. This is how you make payments, just so they kind of have an idea. But we do a lot of stuff over video. Even now, if I have to send a sensitive message, whether to the teachers or the parents, I do it over video. For example, the Canadian fires, that's affecting New York right now. So rather than send this long-winded message about what we have to do, I took on my iPhone. This is what we're going to do. This is what's happening. And it was really well received. So video is super, super important to get across every message.
Yes.
But Trainule is deep entrenched in us.
Awesome. Love that. That's a fantastic process. And it sounds like a great system to scale up your training. And that's definitely a challenge for a lot of our members and a lot of people in the early learning industry. It's just to get their arms around how to systemize and build out their training platforms. So shout out to Trainule for sure. And thanks, Rob, for introducing us to that. Cool. I've heard of it before, but I'd never actually dove in and actually seen it live and in person with your stuff in it. So that was a great share that you had.
And how cool is it that he loves childcare, right? His first real client was it's just amazing.
It's a very symbiotic, very cool thing. So I'm very excited about more with that. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Any final thoughts? And also, could you give your website or any contact information for people that want to learn more about you and your wife?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you've been attending the session, you know that we're very big believers in virtual tours. Happy to talk to you about it, how we do it. It's rob@thetreehouses.org. Cell phone is 914-482-2888. Text me anytime. More than happy to chat. But anything I can do to help.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Rob Rubicco. Been great and very informative, awesome episode here on Childcare Rockstar Radio. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Take care, Rob.
I hope you liked this episode of Childcare Rockstar Radio. If you did, please share it with someone you know and help spread the word to your friends in our industry and on social media. Childcare business success is my passion, and I'm honored to be on this journey with you. As a thank you for listening, learn more about how to grow your business and make more income with our brand new free quiz, the What's My Number One Income Killer quiz, exclusively for preschool and childcare owners. Take the quiz today at childcarequiz.com to discover what your number one income killer is and how to solve it. Take care and God bless.